Welcome to the Israel Daily News Podcast. I'm your host, Shanna Fold, and I'm here to get you caught up quickly. I've got some top news stories for you today from Israel, and guess what? You're listening, so you're already on top of your game. Survive and thrive, people. Knowledge is the best weapon. Today is Monday, May 12th. 2025 in the Gregorian calendar and the 14th of ER in the Hebrew calendar. Stay tuned through our broadcast as we have breaking news, and keep up with us on social media where we can give you more real-time updates about the hostage release. Now, let's get to the news. 21-year-old Israeli-American soldier Edan Alexander is finally home in Israel after 584 harrowing days in captivity. He was 19 when he was taken hostage. The Red Cross received Alexander in Khan Yunis, Gaza, and transported him to IDF special forces inside Gaza, who are escorting him back to Israeli territory via the Kisufim crossing. While early reports say he is in generally good condition, sources note he needed help walking and appears physically weak, though he managed at one point to flash a smile. He had difficulty getting from one vehicle to the next. He needed help getting out and in. A first image aired by Al Jazeera shows Alexander with Red Cross staff and Hamas operatives just before the handover. The IDF says he will undergo medical checks and reunite with his family shortly. They ask that the public respect their privacy. There was no ceremony through Hamas, which took place a number of times during previous hostage releases, where they forced hostages to take a quote-unquote release certificate, make a public thank you, and put on a whole show. Well, the Israelis did not like that and made a big stink about it, and that has not happened since that uproar. To appease the United States, Hamas released the Israeli American. He is the last surviving American to be freed. There are Americans whose dead bodies are still being held. The deal was directly coordinated between U.S. and Hamas negotiators, and Israeli officials were only updated after it was finalized. Israel has emphasized that its military campaign will continue, and any negotiations will be held in accordance with its military commitments. U.S. officials view this as a possible step in renewing broader hostage deal negotiations based on the framework Israel has already committed to. The White House released a video showing Steve Witkoff handing Edan's mother a cell phone with him on the line. She says, "My beautiful soul, Edan, are you outside?" Take a listen and hear the rest in the clip.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God, Edan! Edan! אתה בחוץ, נשמה שלי, אתה בחוץ. זהו, אני פה, אני מחכה לך. הכל טוב, אתה בסדר, אתה מוגן, אתה בבית. הכל טוב, תן בראש, אתה חזק, עוד מעט נפגשים. אוהבת אותך, נשמה שלי, אוהבת אותך, יאללה, אני רוצה לראות אותך, קדימה. They just released a photo of you. You look unbelievable, wow. You look beautiful, I love you so much. אתה נראה מדהים. I love you, and I'm gonna see you, soon. Very soon.
And more footage from the moment Alexander reunited with his immediate family. Following the handover, initial testimony revealed Alexander suffered severe torture during captivity and was held for an extended period of time, chained in a cage. I'm sure we'll be hearing more details about his time captive in Gaza in the coming days, weeks, and months. Alexander was born right here in Tel Aviv and raised in Tenafly, New Jersey, where he played sports, made friends, and graduated high school in 2022. Instead of heading to college like many of his peers, Alexander made the bold decision to return to Israel and serve as a lone soldier in the IDF's elite Golani Brigade. The Golani Brigade is one of the IDF's toughest and most elite infantry units, known for frontline combat in Israel's most intense conflict zones. On the morning of October 7th, he called his mother to say he was safe just minutes before he was taken hostage by Hamas. To his younger sister, Mika, Edan was not just a soldier, but her best friend. Edan's mother got on a plane from the U.S. to Israel to be here for his release. Now, let's hear from a special guest who is connected to the family through his work. Shabbos Kestenbaum is a Harvard graduate in religious studies and leading advocate for Jewish students fighting anti-Semitism on campus. He's also the lead plaintiff in a landmark lawsuit against Harvard University. We're sharing a short clip from our full interview that we took just minutes ago. It's set to air next week, but because Shabbos weighed in on today's major news, the release of American Israeli Edan Alexander, I asked him to share his thoughts as an American Jew at this major moment. Let's hear from him.
Sure. In 1979, all the mainstream media in the United States had a ticker in the bottom right corner of their screens where it counted how many days the American hostages were being held in Iran. And of course, there has been no such ticker. There has been no such similar outrage by the mainstream media since October 7th pertaining to the American hostages who were being held by Hamas. And by the way, continue to be held by Hamas. Edan is the last living American to be released, but we know that the bodies of people like Omer Nutra and Judy Weinstein are still being held as bargaining chips in Hamas by Hamas in Gaza. So number one, it shows the obvious hypocrisy of this sloganeering of Me Too unless you're a Jew, which is pretty apropos. That's because the Americans are Jewish or because the Americans were living in Israel, somehow it's qualitatively different. So number one, it is a tremendous damning indictment on the mainstream media here in the United States. The second thing I want to mention is Edan is from Tenafly, New Jersey. I'm speaking to you live from Riverdale, New York. It's about a 25, 30-minute drive. I've spoken numerous times at the Jewish Community Center of Tenafly, where he is from. It's actually where I used to do summer camp. So Edan is an American boy. I mean, we can all relate to his story. This is someone who grew up in the American Jewish community. In fact, one of the more symbolic photos of all the hostages since October 7th has been a picture of Edan in the backdrop of an American flag. This is someone we can all relate to. I was with his parents at the White House last week, and you know, they are as American as anyone else. And as I said, it's a damning indictment on our cultural leadership, on the mainstream media, that he has not become a household name. The other thing I want to mention is it is critical that while people have contentions or disapprovals of the Trump administration, whether those are justified or not justified, it is critical to remember that the releasing of the hostages, in my opinion, and it's certainly in the opinion of the American government, it is a paramount concern. And it really shows the lengths that the United States government will go to ensure that we do not leave one behind. And while the details of his release are murky, I've seen many, many conflicting reports. I've seen many, many anonymous sources. So I don't want to speculate as to how his release was actually finalized, because let's be honest, we just don't know as of now. What I do want to say is that I'm thankful that we have finally an American government and an administration under the Trump White House that is willing to put their money where their mouth is, and that they will not stop until and unless all of the hostages, both American, Israeli, and other, are released from captivity.
The IDF has scaled back certain military activities in Gaza to allow for the safe release of U.S.-Israeli hostage Edan Alexander, but officials emphasize that no formal ceasefire is in place right now. Despite the adjustments, clashes and airstrikes have continued, with Israeli forces exchanging fire, targeting more than 50 terror-related sites across the Strip. Hamas released new footage just Saturday of hostages Elkanah Bohbot, who's 35, and Yosef Chaim Ohana, 24 years old, who were both abducted from the Nova Music Festival on October 7th when Hamas blew through Israeli territory, murdered 1,200 people, and took some 251 hostage. The Hostages Families Forum has asked the public not to share the video without family consent. This marks the third video showing the two men, part of what observers call Hamas's psychological warfare as Israel steps up its military campaign in Gaza. Bohbot was last heard from while helping evacuate festival goers. Ohana was reportedly aiding the wounded when he was taken. Both families continue to wait for their safe return as they've seen multiple videos of these two men being held hostage and being forced to share testimony on video. U.S. President Donald Trump is stunning allies since his announcement of an uncoordinated ceasefire deal with Yemen's Houthis, halting American strikes in exchange for a pledge to stop Red Sea attacks, specifically on Americans. The move came just as Israel carried out major airstrikes on Houthi targets in Sana'a and Hodeidah, responding to missile attacks near Ben Gurion Airport in Israel. Despite Trump's deal, the Houthis declared they would continue targeting Israel and launched another drone the next day. Israeli officials were not briefed in advance, and now they fear that they've been left to fight the Iran-backed group in Yemen all by themselves. Trump's impending trip to the Gulf region, which excludes Israel, has only deepened concerns in Jerusalem over a widening gap. Prime Minister Netanyahu, however, on Sunday, insisted that his relationship with President Trump remains, quote, excellent, dismissing reports of a growing rift as media spin. Meanwhile, sources close to Netanyahu and Israeli media reports indicate frustration with recent U.S. decisions, including Trump's upcoming visit that again skips Israel. Meanwhile, U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff reportedly told hostage families that Israel is unnecessarily prolonging the war in Gaza and urged leaders to pursue a new ceasefire and hostage release deal. Palestinian Authority has cut monthly stipends for more than 1,600 security prisoners in Israeli jails, signaling a shift away from its controversial pay-to-slay policy. Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas signed a decree replacing the old system with a needs-based welfare model judged by economic hardship instead of prison sentences. This change comes just weeks after the PA invited the Trump administration to verify this reform in Ramallah, which is considered the capital of the West Bank, or Judea and Samaria, depending on how you call it, the land where Palestinians would like to see their future country. Critics say the move aims to restore U.S. aid while reshaping international perception. Now, if you don't really understand what's going on here, there is such a concept in the Palestinian Authority of pay to slay, which is where the government makes payments to terrorists and their families when they have murdered Jews and are then arrested for it. That's right. Those people get money from the government to support them, especially when those members are in prisons. And the news here today is that those prisoners are now not going to be afforded the same monetary benefits that they were afforded before. It sounds crazy, but this is the news. I want to make a special thank you to news writer Perry Schwartz for writing some of our news stories today all the way from the United States. And thank you to our partners at Bernie News Network for providing us with reliable updates, especially today in those updates that you just heard. To get into their WhatsApp and Telegram group, head over to their website, bernie.news. I want to thank all of you for your interest in Israeli affairs, Israeli politics, our world politics. I also want to thank all of you who personally finance and fund the Israel Daily News podcast with monthly contributions. You can support us by going over to our new website, israeldailynews.org, and clicking on donate. The Patreon link is over there, and you can send us a monthly donation using that link. There's also options for a one-time donation, and there is a person that I'm waiting to hear from. You just made a one-time donation, but I don't have your address. Please get in touch with me via email so that I can send you a handwritten thank you note. Our organization is operational thanks to listeners and supporters like you. Thank you to Mary Ann Vollinger for her monthly for her monthly support. In response for your contributions, I'll send over a handwritten thank you note to show my appreciation. Follow us on social media at israeldaily.news, especially today. We're on X, YouTube, TikTok, and on Instagram. Our page is just about to hit 15,000 followers. You can also follow my personal page at Shanna Fold. My name has 2 N's in it, and I'm very sensitive about that. Just 2 weeks after her IDF soldier great-grandson was killed in Gaza by sniper fire, 96-year-old Holocaust survivor Magda Baratz died on Friday. At the time, her great-grandson, Master Sergeant Reservist Asaf Kafri, was killed by sniper fire. She was attending a Yom HaShoah memorial ceremony at the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp with her son Haggai, who is Asaf's father, and she was being honored as a survivor of the Auschwitz-Bergen-Belsen death march. Yom HaShoah is Israel's International Holocaust Remembrance Day. This woman leaves behind 3 children, 10 grandchildren, and 17 great-grandchildren. The family had to make an emergency return to Israel upon getting the news of the death. The Israel Defense Forces and Mossad have recovered the remains of Sergeant First Class Zvi Feldman from Syria. He fell in action during the First Lebanon War in 1982. Feldman was a tank soldier and went missing during the Battle of Sultan Yaqub, which was a skirmish between the IDF and Syrian armed forces in Lebanon's Bekaa Valley. 2 additional soldiers, Sergeant First Class Yehuda Katz and Sergeant First Class Zachary Baumel, also went missing with him. Baumel's remains were recovered and returned to Israel in 2019. Fatalities totaled 21 Israeli servicemen, and more than 30 were injured. The IDF and Mossad said that the complex and covert operation was made possible by precise intelligence and other capabilities like intelligence research and collection efforts and many activities and operations in enemy territory. That's happening now. The remains were brought to Israel for identification, and Feldman's family was then notified. The Mossad, IDF, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and Defense Minister Israel Katz all said Israel would not stop its efforts until the remains of Yehuda Katz are also returned. All right, well, that is it for today's show. Today is Monday, May 12th, 2025. Tel Aviv has a low of 19 degrees Celsius and a high of 25 degrees. That's 66 degrees Fahrenheit for the low, going up to 77 degrees for the high. We are everywhere. Don't forget to sign up to our Israel Weekly News Wrap. The Israel Weekly News Wrap is a newsletter with the top 5 stories coming out of Israel from throughout the week. And of course, with a personal note from me at the top, you can sign up for that at israeldailynews.org. I'll send you off with a song that is new to the Israel Daily News, and it's new to the world. It's called No Other Land by artists Nicole Raviv and West Side Gravy, who released this song. It's a fresh, modern version of the classic Israeli song, Ein Li Eretz Acheret, which is the Hebrew translation. It came out on Yom HaAtzmaut 2025 to celebrate Jewish and Israeli pride. Yom HaAtzmaut is Hebrew for Independence Day. They felt like all the war songs were getting old, as most were released at the beginning of the war, and as reservists got called up this week again to protect our country, the Jewish world needs a new anthem to keep the spirits high. Enjoy this song and have a great and productive day and an excellent week. Shavua Tov, everyone.
אין לי ארץ אחרת גם כשאדמתי בוערת חושב שתצליח לכבוש אותה בטוח שאתה חי בסרט בחרת לחיות לפי חרב ניסיתי למצוא את השלום בחרת בחרב שוב פעם אז בסדר בחרת למצוא את עצמך בתוך קבר You never seen a seed that could grow from the sand Stand down deep throne still know where to stand Gratitude owed from the bottom of my soul to the one of above who showed us his hand Let us have the chains back home to a stand The wrath of enemies that were known to outlast Opponents pretend and they don't understand but they know that we ain't got no other land